All right, guys, so you don't have to write this down because we already have our I can statement in our notes, but we are continuing to solve linear equations with one variable. Please make sure that you put today's date in the corner of your notes. So just a quick reminder, these are our properties and justifications that we will be using to solve equations when we have to give the statements and the justifications. So when we solve equations, we solve them following 4 steps. So you probably already have these, but just to remind you, we are going to do the distributive property first. We're going to combine like terms second. We're going to make sure the variable is on one side of the equation. And then our last step is we are going to isolate the variable. So in other words, we're going to solve for that variable to get it by itself on one side. Okay, so let's take a look. We've got our statement, so we've got the actual problem, and we've got the justification, which is going to be one of these items, whatever we're doing to get the new equation. So I don't have to distribute for this one. I do have some like terms I need to combine. So I have 7z and negative 13z. I look at this as negative 13 because the minus sign in front. And so 7 and negative 13 are going to make negative 6z minus 21. So the reason I have this new equation is because I combined like terms. So that's my justification. Now I need to make sure the variable is on one side, which it is. And so now I'm trying to get z alone. I'm trying to isolate z. So the first thing I need to get rid of is the minus 21. So I'm going to add 21 to both sides. APO allows me to add the same thing to both sides. So my justification here is APO. So I get 9 equals negative 6z. And then to get z by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 6. dpo allows me to do that, not dp. dp is distributive property. So I'm dividing both sides. And so I'm left with z equals a positive and a negative make a negative. So I can just put the negative out in front, negative 9/6, which I'm going to leave as a fraction, but I do need to simplify because the top and bottom are both divisible by 3. So I should simplify this to be negative 3/2. And I'm going to leave it like that. I don't want to have it as negative 1.5. I just want it written this way. So let's do one more. Just a quick reminder, don't have to write it down, but this is the order steps should go in. We should distribute first. We should combine like terms second. We should get the variable on one side. And then last but not least, we should isolate the variable. So we've got our statement, our problem, and our justification when we start is always given. So the first thing I need to do here is distribute. I'm distributing negative 3 because of the minus sign. So 3c is going to come straight down. Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. Negative 3 is multiplying negative 2c. So that turns to positive 6c. So this new equation I got by doing the distributive property, so dp. After that, I combine my like terms. So I have 3c and 6c. That makes 9c. And so the way I got that was combining like terms. The variable is on one side, c is on this side. And so now I need to isolate c. So I need to get c alone by adding 18 to both sides. APO is the reason I can do that. I can add the same thing to both sides. And that's going to be 45. And I'm going to divide both sides by 9. dpo allows me to do that. And so my final answer is C equals 5. So the next I can statement that we are covering in this video is 1.2b, not C. Let's change that. 1.2b, which is that we can solve equations that have fractions by clearing fractions. And so the way that we're going to do that is we are going to multiply the entire equation by the LCD, the least common denominator. So in this equation, the LCD is 2 because it's my only denominator. So I need to multiply the entire equation by 2. So I need to multiply here by 2. I don't multiply inside the parentheses because I really technically already am doing that. 3 halves would distribute. So if I multiply 3 halves by 2, I am multiplying the inside parentheses by 2. But I do also need to multiply the negative 6 by 2 to keep it balanced. That's MPO. So 2 and divided by 2, I think of this fraction as division. So if I do 2 divided by 2, those cancel, and I'm left with 3 times x minus 5 equals negative 12. Let me actually erase this equation just so I have a little bit more space to finish my problem. Now I'm going to distribute. I get 3x minus 15 equals negative 12. I don't have to combine any like terms. I don't have to get the variable to one side. So now I'm just trying to isolate x, get x by itself. And so for this problem, I get x equals 1. So my final answer for this problem is x equals 1. Let's try one more like that. So let's try 6 plus 3 halves x minus 1/4 equals 2/3. So I don't particularly like the looks of this problem because of the fractions. So I'm going to look and see with 2, 4, and 3, what is the least common denominator? The least common denominator, the least common multiple that they all have in common is 12. So I'm going to multiply my entire equation by 12. So I'm multiplying the 6 by 12, the 3 halves by 12, the 1/4 by 12, and the 2/3 by 12. So 12 times 6 is 72. 12 times 3 halves. So some of you guys might already know what that is. That's 18. But the quick way that I like to get it is I like to think of this as divided by 2. So the fraction bar is really division. So I'm going to do it a little bit out of order here. I'm going to do 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 makes 6. And I'm going to multiply 6 by the remaining 3 from the fraction. 6 times 3 is 18x. Again, some of you guys might know that 12 times 1/4 is 3. But if you didn't know that, you could do 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times the numerator 1 is 3. Some of you guys might know that 12 times 2/3 is 8. But if you didn't, you could do 12 divided by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 4 times the numerator 2 is 8. So that's my quick shortcut when doing these problems. Use the denominator as division. So I like this problem a lot more now than I did when it started. So now I'm just going to follow my steps. So I have to combine my like terms. I get 18x plus 69 equals 8. I'm going to subtract that from both sides. 18x equals negative 61. And I think that's going to have to be our answer. Sometimes we get some ugly looking fractions, but that's not simple. We can't simplify that. So that's going to be our final answer. X is negative 61 over 18.